Stop wasting time trying to describe every single detail in a prompt. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through why Inpainting in Weavy AI is one of the most useful tools for editing images. Instead of wrestling through complicated prompts to describe a whole image or to edit out specific sections of an image, you simply paint over the area you want to change, and only that section will be changed. I'm going to walk you through some really good examples on how to achieve this. To follow along, I've left a link to the workflow below, so let's jump into it. So if you end up using AI a lot and you are subscribed to 4 or 5 different platforms, you might want to try using Weavy AI. It's an all-in-one system that allows you to be creative and allow the AI tools to do the heavy lifting. As you can see from the left-hand panel, Weavy AI gives you access to the top text, image, and video models that you can use all in one place to build an entire project. This is all using a node-based system, so you can swap out a node if you're not happy with how it's generating or how it's behaving. You can just go into this panel and swap out the particular node and use another video or image model. This is quite useful if you're creating a project as an agency or as a solo creator, to finally just put out all the creative ideas in your brain and lay it out on the canvas. So I've left the link in the description to access Weavy. So let's get on with the tutorial. So I've added these 2 images into the canvas and I want to start by outpainting. So I'll move this down a little bit and we just focus on this image that I created in another workflow. And I want to outpaint this. So there, if you go to the left panel, you will see, if you just search for outpainting, you will see quite a few different outpainting nodes. This one here is Stable Diffusion Outpainting, and this other one is made by Flux, so Flux Pro Outpainting. We also have one by WAN as well, but this is a video to video outpainter. So I'll just focus on these 2 for now. The easiest way to outpaint, you can use these 2 models, any one of these models really. This one is probably one of the slightly latest ones, but you can still use Nano Banana or Nano Banana Pro for outpainting as well. You can also use ChatGPT, so that will be GPT. You can still use, I'll just choose the image edit one because we are kind of editing the image. So you can use any of these ones as well. The reason why GPT Image 1.5 and Nano Banana Pro are good is because they are multimodal models, so they can handle anything from video, they can handle images, video, text, but they can, and audio as well, but they are quite powerful. These ones are slightly older models, but they are quite specific, so they are specifically made to outpaint. Some of them are specifically made for other things, but these nodes from Stable Diffusion and Flux are specific for outpainting. Again, these are nice and cheap, 5 credits and 6 credits, but as you can see, if you click on the panel, if you click on the node, you will see on the right hand side the properties bar. You will see the outpainting properties, so you can actually enter in a value that you want to expand by. If you hover over this eye, you will see pixels to add to the top and pixels to add to the right, etc. The creativity, this, if you bring this down toward 0, it will stick closely to the prompt. If you leave it at 0.5, it gives some flexibility, so it can probably add a few more things to make the image look good, but I will leave this at 0.5 for now. So I'm going to use the Stable Diffusion 3 Outpainting and going to use Gemini Nano Banana just as examples. So Stable Diffusion 3, again, slightly older model. You can't really prompt it like you would normally prompt a Nano Banana. It is quite brief and keyword type prompting, while Nano Banana you can have a conversation and describe things in Nano Banana. So you can keep, again with Stable Diffusion 3 Outpainting, you can keep it as basic as you want. I've seen cases where people don't even use a prompt, they just click on the node and they're putting their settings, their values. So for example, put 200 for the top, 200 for the right, 200 for the bottom, and 200 for the left. The reason why I'm putting the same number into everything is so that I can get like an expansion of about 2 times, so everything matches. So some people use it with the prompt, some people use it without the prompt, but you can just, this is the outpainting sort of the formula. So you have to just describe what you want the final image to look like. So you describe the current image, and then you describe how you want the image to be outpainted, and you describe the lighting and the way it looks. So to prompt the Stable Diffusion 3, again, this is sort of the formula for prompting Stable Diffusion 3. It's very keyword based. You just have to describe what you're looking at and then describe how you want the image to, or what you want the image to look like at the end. So I'm just going to use an image describer to describe the image, but I'm going to give it this formula. Again, I'm just using a shortcut, but I'm just giving it this formula so that when it is outputting the image description, it's going to give us the prompt. So you click on the image describer, you want an expert analyzing, you're an expert image analyst tasked with providing detailed, accurate, blah blah blah. So I'm just going to cut from here and your description and paste in our formula, and then just tell it to output a prompt based on the formula. Formula for outpainting in Stable Diffusion. See what we get. So fried chicken cartoon dog characters with French fries in brown cups. Yes, warm indoor lighting, food photography. Okay, so that describes what we're looking at and what we hope to get. So I just want to get exactly this just to expand it. Then I'll connect this to the prompt and click on run. So we've set everything to be 200 each, and the creativity, let's put this to 0.4 and click on run. Brilliant. So that is what it's done. It's just outpainted, expanded it a little bit, and as you can see, we have everything is the same, but we just expanded it. We have more space to work with on the edges. Again, if you don't like that, you can always tweak the prompt to get exactly what you're looking for. But I think we've got some extra glasses, we've got his ears and his head, and everything else is kept the same. Okay, So for Nano Banana, I'll connect this file to the image, and for the prompt I've put expand this image 2 times in every direction. So you're giving it a command to do it, telling it what to do, and you're also telling it what it should add to different places. And with context, it will actually read this image or analyze the image and try and expand it. But I'm just giving it some things to do. So for example, I'm telling it at the left side, add more bokeh and then complete the dog's ears here. I've not told it to complete the glasses. I'm just going to let it do that itself, but you can be quite specific if you want to. So I've just done this, and let's try it out. So Nano Banana, again, default aspect ratio, I'm just going to go 9:16 and run. Brilliant. So it has expanded the image 2 times. You see it has completed the ears and kept the depth of field. It's completed the glasses, kept the depth of field, and it's also completed the edges with the light. When it has expanded, it has actually added more nuggets and chips, but kept the depth of field as well, so which is good. It's clever enough to know to keep the depth of field and analyze the image to actually achieve that. But it has also added more chips and more nuggets, because from our prompt we told it also adds more chips and nuggets to the rest of the table. What I'll do is I'll bring this, so click on these 3 dots here and duplicate, and I'll bring it side by side so you can see how it has actually performed. I think Nano Banana has performed quite well. Stable Diffusion has also performed quite well. There are some, it has not necessarily maintained the depth of field at the edge. We might have to prompt that, and you can still see a little line here. But again, we can always prompt that and just say keep, let me see, we can say keep the lighting the same and keep the depth of field the same. Let's try that and run. And it has actually done a better job. So it has kept the depth of field the same. You still have that line there, so we can actually try and prompt it, blend the outpainting and original pixels so there's no separation. And I have also run it again, and you can see it's actually improved. So the previous image, you can see that there was a line, but it was, you see, this depth of field wasn't maintained. It almost added some texture to the arms, and it added some texture to the chips as well. Here, see, this is blurred out, but here it's added some texture. And when we said keep the depth of field the same, it has actually kept the depth of field the same, but the line is still here. I have further prompted it to blend the outpainting and original pixels so there is no separation. Let's try that one last time. So again, the Stable Diffusion 3 might be a very good option if you have a central image with a plain background, like a plain white background, a plain colored background. That might actually work better because you won't have the annoying outpainted line, So that might be a good use of Stable Diffusion. And we can see it's actually done a lot better. We still see the line here, but it has outpainted it very nicely. In some places you can see the line, in other places it's not that noticeable. So again, if you want to use this outpainting method for Stable Diffusion 3, it's probably really good if you've just got a plain white background and the subject is in the middle of the image or not touching the edges, and you will be able to get something quite quick and quite clean. Whereas Gemini knows to blend the edges and also keep the depth of field as well. So I'm going to use this image for inpainting. It will be quite a challenging in paint, where I'm going to add a nose piercing here, 3 additional piercings on the ear. So for that I'm going to use the painter tool. So painter, you can get the painter right clicking on an empty part of the canvas and just searching for painter, and that will come up. With the painter node, you give it an input as an image, and for example, if we give it this image, we can then decide to color on the image or draw on the image. To remove this drawing, you just click on clear, but to also change the size of it, we can just increase this brush size here, and you can see it's a lot bigger. To clear everything, clear again, and then we can choose the color we want. So I'm going to go to this color picker here and just select red, and then click on anywhere on the image, and we just paint a nice big red paint in here, one on the ear here, one here, and one up here. So we want to put some piercings in those particular direction. If we just prompted normally, we would get the piercings, but it might not be where we want it to be exactly. Okay, so that is how to use the painter, and the result of the painter is again an image. I'll just show you. We go to this search and search for preview. The preview node helps us see what each output is giving us. So this just gives us another image, while this gives us the mask. So the mask is just a black and white image where the white dots are representing the places we want to inpaint. Okay, I'm going to delete this for now. So we have our painting, just going to undo that. So we have our painted areas here. Again, it's going to be tricky because these are quite small inpainting dots, so it might not be as accurate, but this is the prompt I'm using. You can just use this normal prompt, but the prompt layout has to be modify and keep. So it has to, you have to modify something, and you also have to specify what you want to keep. So here we're modifying the earring and the nose to add some piercings to each of those, and to keep, we want to keep everything else. So I want to keep the skin tone, the lighting, and the pose, and literally everything else in the image. But what I like to do sometimes, because every image generation or video generation is a little bit different, what you can do is type in a prompt in a way that makes sense to you. So here I'm saying modify image, blah blah blah, but also what you can do is then pass it to an LLM. So this is almost like asking ChatGPT, Gemini, or Claude how to reinterpret this prompt for that particular image generation. So Gemini 3. So I actually asked Gemini 2.5 Flash. So I actually asked Gemini how to interpret this particular prompt. Again, it pretty much gave me exactly what I gave it, but I knew this was going to work because this layout works really well for Nano Banana. So you have to specify what you want to modify, and you also have to specify what you want to keep. Okay, so we run this, and this is what we get. We have got a nose piercing in exactly where we want it to be, and we have the ear piercing right here, one on the top. For some reason it has given us 3 right here, so this might be, we might need to regenerate it again, or again this might just be an error because it's trying to put these piercings in very weird shaped area. But we have our piercings where we want them to be. What I'm going to do now is just outpaint this. So I'm going to get Nano Banana and just prompt it to outpaint. So remember our prompt from last time. Expand this image, let me say 4 times in every direction. I'm just going to leave it like this and make Gemini fill out the rest for me. Again, I'm leaving the aspect ratio default because this is a weird aspect ratio, so I'm just going to leave it as it is and run this. Let's see what we get. Okay, so this outpainting actually worked out quite well. And then what I'm going to do now is inpaint. So I'm going to inpaint a hat. So we're going to input the painter node. And with this painter node, I'm going to draw again a red. The red color, increase the size. I'm going to draw a big sort of cowboy hat. So I've imported this cowboy hat and I want it to sit in this particular position, just right here, just on top of her head, towards the back of her head, not in a normal position. So with that, I'm going to use, okay, Nano Banana. I'm going to give it the original image and I'm going to add a new image input and give it this new image that has got the red marking on. And for the prompt, we're going to prompt it modify image 1 by adding a cowboy hat from image 3. So I'll have to add image 3 here and give this cowboy hat as an input. And I also added adjust the lighting on the cowboy hat to match image 1, to match the lighting in image 1. Okay, so this hopefully should work. Let's try it out. Okay, so we have got this. As you can see, it's tried to adapt the lighting of the hat and the shape of this hat to be on the woman's head in exactly the top part. So you see, this would have been very difficult to prompt. You would have to say the back of the head, it might put the hat here, but if you can just draw or inpaint where you want the object to be and prompt for it, then the hat, as you can see, is sitting on the model's head just as we want it. You can also inpaint some other things, so you can decide to change the color here to maybe green. So you can paint on the woman's arm. And you can then further add here in the prompt that says add a black armband that has the word cowgirl in pink cursive fonts to the green Inpainting drawing from image 2. So hopefully it will redo the hat and also add an armband to this woman as well. I'm just going to say don't crop the image. Just so that it doesn't crop out the arm or the armband. And let's run that and see what we get. So I swapped out the image generator to Nano Banana Pro because it just has better color and keeps the texture and consistency across the entire image. And as you can see in the green area here that we added, we prompted it to add a black armband that has the word cowgirl in pink cursive writing to the green Inpainted area, and it should keep the lighting and shadows and contours from the arm and sit naturally on the woman's arm from image 1. And as you can see, it looks quite good. It sits nicely on the woman's arm. It says cowgirl, and it's actually taken a font that kind of looks like a cowgirl type font. You can see that if we had to prompt this manually, it would have taken us a long time probably to get this exact look and exact position on the arm, and to get the exact way that the hat sits back on the head as well. So that is the advantage of using Inpainting in Weavy AI. You have all these tools available, like this painter tool. You can give it different colors as well and specify which color you want something to happen, and also it's quite easy to just paint on or clear and adjust the size of the brush as well if you wanted to. One key thing to note is when you're doing Inpainting, don't change the opacity to less than 100%. You will see in some other AI platforms or AI tools, you can see that the brush is maybe about 50%. You can see behind the brush. This is for effect so that you can actually see what you're painting on, but when they are used, it's actually at 100%. So here, if you want to adjust this to less than 100%, you are telling the model not to also apply that effect to 100%. So make sure you're aware of this. This has to be at 100% so that you can get all the pixels that you need to actually generate or change something around. So you can see that this Inpainting section, we have got the original image. We have added our Inpainting slots to add the piercing. We have outpainted it so that we can see a lot more of the model. We've added a cowboy hat to this specific section of the head, and we have also added a green Inpainting section here so that we can put an armband around our model that says cowgirl. So now we're going to move to the crop section. So for cropping, you just go to the left hand panel here and search for the crop node. Drag it onto the canvas, and you can see that this crop node has got an aspect ratio viewing area here to change the value, and you also have the dimensions that you can change, or you can reset everything to the beginning. But it's quite a useful node if, for example, you just connect this output into the crop node and it takes on the aspect ratio and the dimensions from whatever image you have given it. but you can choose the aspect ratio, so the crop aspect ratio. I, for example, want a 9:16, for example, or you can have 1:1. You can have whatever aspect ratio you want, or you can actually change it, have a custom one. If you select 200 here and click enter, it will also change the height. But if you want to do them individually, you click this to unlink them, and you can enter in a custom, let's say 1000 width. Click enter, and you will see that this also stays at 200. This is swapped back to 944 because that might be the limit of the width. But you see what I mean. You can actually set a custom aspect ratio, or you can select a preset one here. So let's say 16:9 or 9:16, something like this. And you will see, if we add the preview node to see what that image actually looks like, this is what we were going to get for the crop. And live adjusting it here, you can see the live results on the preview node. But once you're happy with what you've got, you can either export. So you go to this panel again and click on export, drag this over to the canvas, connect it to the export node, and with this node you just click on this arrow here and you can download whatever you see this preview at. You can actually download that and save that to your computer. So the crop node is quite useful. So for example, you can also move this about as well, and this size, you only want the armband. So let's say 1:1, and let's say you only want the armband. You can take this armband, upscale it, or do whatever you want to this particular armband, and that is one way to use the crop tool. So you can actually select what you want, different aspects of what you want, and focus on just that. Just be aware that when you're cropping, you can see the dimension changes, so you will end up having a really low resolution image, which you can upscale if you want to, but it is always good to start off with a really high resolution image and then crop into it. So this will be quite tricky to upscale. I mean, you can probably get some really good detail, but it is, just remember that it is really low resolution. Hope you found this useful and can see the various tools in Weavy AI that you can actually use to make your life so much easier. Instead of spending hours prompting and getting the specific angle through a prompt, you can simply just paint on your image and prompt it to place something or move something in that specific area, or delete something from a particular area as well. Don't forget to like, share and comment any questions you have, and I'll look forward to answering those soon.